Okay, we're good to go. Hey, everybody. This is Mike Bruins. I'm goalie specialist here at Total Goalie. Welcome to our first Total Goalie Hangout. We are super excited today to have all the design team, a Warrior Pro with us, and we are going to go over the Ritual line for 2013, which has probably created the most buzz of anything we've seen out there for a while, especially with some of the new designs they've come out with. So let's introduce the panel a little bit. We've got Eric Marvin, who's the goalie product manager and pro rep for Warrior Goalie. Welcome, Eric.
Thank you.
We have Neil Watts, Pete Smith, and Frank Dagno from Warrior Goalie design team. Hey, fellas.
Hey, how's it going? How you doing?
And we've got Rob Madore, who is a professional goaltender with the Florida Everblades of the East Coast League. He's been wearing the Warrior gear for a little time now, so thanks for joining us, Rob.
And my pleasure. Happy to be here. Talk some equipment.
There you go. Okay, so let's just jump right into it. Eric, you've got all the chest guards behind you, and probably the unit that's created the most buzz recently is the Ritual Pro chest guard. You guys really went, you really thought out of the box in creating that. So do you want to give it a brief overview, and then perhaps we can talk through with the design team and kind of figure out why you took the tact you did and why you designed the product the way you did?
Yeah, sure. I can give just a quick synopsis here of the product. I think, you know, it's one of the pieces that, at least from a pro side and even a retail side, it's really growing a name for us. So hats off to the design team, because they've built a product that people are seeking out, both pros and regular consumers. So pretty much, if you can see, I'll lower my screen here. A lot of the key, the key piece to this chest protector is in the arm. This arm is built with unparalleled protection and even mobility. The fact that we've been able to take stingers and bruises away from the arm by removing the impact zone from being against your arm to now floating kind of suspended away from your arm makes this protection level, there's nothing like it out there. So what we've done, and I'll kind of show you here, is you can see from the cap, obviously impact zone, there's dead space behind here. So now the impact doesn't hit your arm. So there's a gap there, which now alleviates any pain. This cap is built out of a molded plastic part that has some pliable aspects to it. So it's got some give to it, which increases durability and protection. We have that in the bicep, and we've got two bicep pieces actually that the guys built. So now you can lean forward with this top cap, and then the biceps protected as well. And both of these are suspended almost like there's a hammock behind it that your arm sits against, and the plastic parts sit off the arm. We've also the first time ever that we've been able to engineer an arm floater. So we've got you know, patents on this area. This is the key area. It kind of connects everything, makes it all work together. And you can see we've built the guys built a hinge. So now the floater, the elbow cap, both the forearm and the bicep work together to create mobility. So you can see how it just kind of moves along that track as you bend your arm. So right out of the box, you can move this piece. So now what we've done is we've created the ideal protection, but not by hindering mobility. We've kind of met in the middle and then ran with it from there. So there is no longer a blocking arm. There's no longer a mobile arm. You've got it all in one piece. So this is the real prize in this chest and arm. And then there's, from here, it's just icing on the cake. We've got tons of adjustability behind the shoulder floaters. Along the side, we've got 2-strap system. We've got attachments on both the front side of the body and the underside, depending on if you tuck your chest protector into your pants or you wear it out in front. And then we've also developed the shoulder floaters and shoulder caps, so that way you have a nice profile in your upper body, but it allows for visibility because we've built it with turning your head and working with the mask, so that way your visibility, you're able to turn your head and look all around you and get visibility out of from your chest unit as well. So everything kind of works together. Everything's built with something else in mind to where it benefits other aspects of your game. So I know I just... Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. Can we go back to the arms for a second?
Yep.
And I'd kind of like to get the design team's input because the arm hinge there is pretty unique. It might be a little difficult to pick up on that screen, but it's actually the whole hinge is on a track, correct? It moves up and it moves back as you bend your arm and move it. So can you guys get into that a little bit?
Sure. I'll hold it up and Pete can talk about it. I don't know if that maybe the visibility is a bit better there.
Part of it just comes down to geometry. By elevating the plastic caps away from the arms, it created some sort of special needs, I guess, for the front elbow floater. We couldn't just have a conventional floater there because the way the bicep and the forearm caps hinge off of each other, it leaves an open space. So that open space, if you just had a regular floater in front of it, the puck would just blow right through and it would push the floater into that empty space and it would hit your arm. So we had to come up with a way of creating a strong bridge that would go over that. So what happens when the puck hits the floater now, it bottoms out, but where it bottoms out is about 2 inches above your arm. So the puck can never come close to your arm.
So the floater can slide down at this point. It can't get any lower down than that, and that still leaves, like Pete said, about 2 inches of air between the tip of your floater and where your arm is, which would be somewhere down here.
So the reason we have the sliding track is if you just bent your arm and it was a regular just folding floater,
this thing, you wouldn't be able to bend your arm.
Yeah, you couldn't bend your arm far enough. So what we did is developed a way so as it's bending, it also rises. So by rising, you can continue to keep contracting your arm.
You may not be able to see it well on the camera here, but when I have this arm bent all the way, the little attachment point is all the way at the bottom of the slot, whereas when it's open, it's all the way at the top of the slot. So that you can see the length of the slot is the amount of travel that this piece moves up and down as you flex your arm.
So it's precisely the reason why you could have unparalleled protection with good mobility, is this piece in the center.
Can I ask, as someone who's not clever enough to come up with these ideas on my own, like how did you guys come up with that design? At what point did you guys, how did that whole arm design evolve?
Well, it started at first with a very simple hinge idea. And as we were working with it, we came to the conclusion that the fact that the protection was pushed away from the arm, we needed to come up with something more clever than just a simple hinge. And so we tried with a single pivot point, we tried with a double pivot point, and did tons of prototyping and back and forth. And it's really like one day, someone in the team, I believe it was Pete, came up with the idea of a sliding pivot point. So instead of having multiple points, having one that moves along a track. And that really allowed this concept to really develop, and that's where it became a sensible idea, and we were able to really make it work.
Yeah, I'd say we had
we had tons of, we went through like at least 15 stages of prototyping up to that point, and we had systems that worked well at doing some things, but nothing did everything exactly right. And the slot system was the one that solved all the problems.
So this, I guess we're talking a couple of years in development for this thing then, right? I mean, that seems like a pretty extensive process.
Yeah, it's not quite that long, but part of the way we design stuff, you know, you've heard the old saying, I think Thomas Edison came up with it, that, you know, innovation is 10% inspiration and 90% perspiration. That's true. It's completely true. Like, this didn't come as a grand epiphany, like that this is exactly how we're going to do it. It started as like a germ of an idea, which was the supported plastic caps that we knew would offer great protection. And then from there, it was purely a series of problem solving. And the only way to, you know, to get through that is to make prototype after prototype after prototype. And it, you know, it's a lot of work. It can be mentally torturous at times, but it's the only way to achieve something like this. Like, you couldn't just throw this together, and it could not be a one-man project either. Like, yeah. And even, like, Eric isn't here designing with us, but even from where he is, he's making serious contributions, and it's really, as a team, you know, obviously I'm biased, but I think we're an amazing designing team. Like, we work so well together, and each one of us, no matter what product you're talking about, one of us has a starting point, and then we all contribute greatly to each person's idea. So it's truly a team effort.
When I first saw the unit, I thought it was one of the coolest things I'd ever seen, and but I was skeptical, as I think a lot of people are, from what I've heard, that the plastic won't hold up, or the mechanisms will break, or rebound control. And that's kind of another reason I wanted Rob to be in on this conversation too, because Rob, you've been testing this unit at a pro level. I'm not sure exactly how long you've been wearing it, but you're playing at a pro level, probably skating 6, maybe 7 times a week, I would assume.
Yeah, I got the unit about 3 months ago, and I haven't had any problems with durability. I gotta admit that I had the same reservations that you did about it when I first got it. Just you know, because it's so unorthodox. It's not something that you know, that I've ever seen before, or have ever seen in any kind of unit before. So so I had questions, but I've been using it for about a little more than 3 months, and you know, we skate twice a day on some days, so I'm probably on the ice 6 or probably 10 or 11 times a week, and so far I haven't had any problems. No warping of the plastic, no shattering of the plastic, no problems with any of the buckles. The back of the arm, I don't think they really touched on it, but it doesn't have the traditional attachment that you normally see on the back of an arm. It's all Velcro. So you don't have any problems with snaps breaking.
Show a quick view of that while Rob's talking. All this is Velcro here.
Exactly, and so I have had no problems with the unit as far as durability is concerned. Nothing whatsoever. Absolutely nothing whatsoever. Though I will say, just for guys wearing it, when you're adjusting the fit, I'd say the looser you wear the arm, the better the hinge works.
I wanted to get into sizing a little bit too. Kevin, we'll get back to you with sizing, because I knew you had some experience with that. And we actually got a Twitter question regarding sizing. But Rob, can you also speak to rebound control a little bit? Have you noticed that you control rebounds differently with this unit than with others?
I would say that you probably have the puck. The force of the puck is transferred to your arm less than on a normal unit. So you will have pucks come off it a little quicker. However, it's a lot more square of an arm just because it's plastic. They're able to get the full legal amount of size on the arm. So what that does is when you get a shot, say on the edge of the arm, where on a normal chest and arm, it's more rounded on your arm. So on a normal chest and arm, if you got a shot, say on the edge, instead of coming back out in front and being predictable or going to the side and being predictable, what you have is a rebound that will come off unpredictably. So I could get 10 shots in the exact same spot on a traditional chest and arm and have 10 different rebounds. So I think what it did is it adds a lot of predictability to your rebounds, and the seal is fantastic with the plastic and the big floater. You really get a great seal. You seal up the 6 hole, and I haven't really had a whole lot of squeakers. You know, I don't know if I should probably thank my goalie coach for that or thank the chest and arm, but for the sake of this, I'll say, you know, 100% it's the chest and arm. I have a terribly weak 6 hole, and that's what it was.
Well, we're happy to hear that. We were hoping we'd get that comment, but there it is.
So let me throw it back to the design guys for a second, and then Woody will get to you because I want to talk to you about sizing and some other things. Can you guys go over the testing elements of this? I mean, I'm assuming it's so out of the box. You guys did a ton of testing, both with puck cannons and all sorts of things, huh?
Yeah, I mean, we can't get into too many details about what our exact testing protocols are, but I mean, basically how it starts is, you know, we come up with the design. We try it out a lot ourselves. We all play. We're all on the ice quite frequently. I mean, between the 3 of us, we're probably on the ice 7 times a week. So early prototypes, we're trying it out to see if it's working the way we want to. And then we've got a kind of a stable of guys in the area here who play pretty high-level hockey pretty frequently. We'll get it out to them to get their feedback. And then we do also have, like you said, we have a puck cannon and we have some high-speed photography that we can use to see exactly what's happening in super slow motion, you know, video, what actually happens to the caps when the puck hits it. So, you know, through that process, we basically determined that we had an extremely viable unit.
Okay.
Yeah. In terms of testing, a couple of things. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. In terms of testing, a couple of things that we do is it depends on the concerns that we have. So, like what Neil said, we come up with a design and then we ice test it ourselves, and then we send it out to other high-level goalies that give feedback. And so that's the ice level testing. And then depending on the concerns, we have here equipment and machinery that allows us to do targeted type of testing. So like you mentioned, puck cannons, drop towers, you know, all these things that allow us to go and test specifically one particular item and really, you know, impact a particular zone at a particular angle with a particular puck speed or something. And that really allows us to go to the bottom of things, you know, because sometimes when you ice test it, you can feel something and feel it in a way where it's not really what happened. But with the high-speed camera, with the precise equipment, we can be sure that at a certain speed and a certain angle, the parts that we have will hold up.
Okay. So, Woody, I'll kick it over to you now. Thanks for being patient with it. You've actually, I know Warrior sent you the stuff, as you guys have done a lot of great reviews for InGoal magazine. The first review that you guys published on it was really in-depth and fantastic. And you guys have also been working with a lot of goalies in your area as well who have tested the unit. Why don't you kind of explain what the feedback you're getting and your initial impression of the chest arm?
Well, I think, you know, for the most part, first of all, let me apologize for being late. Unfortunately, if I turn this camera around, you'll see Rogers Arena and the Canucks center ice right now. I'm in the middle of a goaltending controversy capital of the world, and I had to file a story before I could join you. So apologies to everyone for that. as far as the feedback we're getting, I mean, it's excellent. And it echoes a lot of what Rob was saying and what we've heard from Neil and Pete and Frank. And when Neil and Pete and Frank talk about testing and high-speed cameras, I'm guessing they probably are seeing what we saw when we took a camera out and had, you know, for us, we had the camera out with a CIS goalie who used to play in the WHL. And one of the questions that we got a lot was rebound control. Because it was plastic cap, people assumed that that puck would come off there more lively and it would be harder to control that rebound in front of you. And what I think the photography showed, and I'm guessing what you guys saw, you know, with your, you know, high-speed cameras, even higher tech than what we've got, is that, you know, there's give here. That in addition to the plastic capped arm, that because there's that arm hammock behind there, there's always a bit of air in there, and there is a bit of absorption in there. So I guess anecdotally what we heard from goaltenders is if I'm squared up to a puck and I'm taking it squared on and I'm trying to, you know, absorb a puck off of that arm piece, and I've got it here up in the press box, you know, there's enough absorption there that puck's going to stay, and you're going to be able to make that gut trap. You're going to be able to, you know, just have it fall into the glove in front of you. It's not going to carry them off wildly. But then on angle plays and situations where maybe you're not normally able to control a rebound, they like the fact, and this goes right up to the NHL level, talking to some goalies that are wearing it right now, some goalies that tested it in the summer and really liked the way the arms performed. If it was a rebound they could normally control, they felt they still had that control. If it was a rebound off angle where maybe they didn't see it or they weren't able to make a clean save, they felt that the plastic cap forced maybe a harder redirection into the corner, and because of the extra width of the arm, they liked that. They felt that they were getting more pieces of the puck, and that puck was going out of a danger area more aggressively. But if they were square to it in a situation where they would normally be able to control a rebound, everything was the same as it would normally be. They were able to make that gut trap, hold it under the blocker, make that lean, and hold it under the glove with no problem. So, and that was, anecdotally, that's what we heard from all our testers. From, you know, we try and mix it up from beer league level right up to, like I said, Junior A, Junior B, kids who played in the Dub, who are, you know, playing the Canadian Hockey League and are now playing university, and that seemed to be the feedback unanimously. As much as people see plastic and think harder rebounds, they felt like they had really good control with it. And in the mobility, you know, you look at it, and I saw it. You know, I was lucky to see it a while ago at the offices there. And when you first see it, you're taken aback. It is so different, and you think, how can that be mobile? You put that arm in, and you're able, with the range of motion there and the ability to kind of really, you know, squeeze that up. And it's more so than your traditional chest and arm. I mean, it wasn't until you put it on and felt it, you're thinking, oh, is this, you know, how does this feel? That feels pretty good. Then you go put your normal one on, and you realize, wow, that's more restrictive because it doesn't have the hinges, because it doesn't have that built-in mobility. You know, a traditional chest and arm, until you get it broken in for sure, actually has more restriction through the elbow. So the feedback we got was you know, positive on both fronts, both in terms of mobility and rebound control, which I thought were the two biggest questions we were asked coming into it, and the answers were all positive coming out of it.
I will say, I'll attest to what you just said. When Eric sent us the unit back in April, we were really concerned that our mobility would be hard, especially just when you flex like this. So we actually went and got another unit from the warehouse, brought it in, flexed our arm with the Ritual Pro, flexed our arm with this other unit, and you could get more flex with the Ritual Pro than you could get with the other unit we tried, and we were all shocked. We thought that was a pretty great feature. I want to move on just real quickly to sizing, and I want to talk to Rob about that. Woody, I want to talk to you about it. We actually got a question from Brandon off Twitter who wants to know about specifically about arm sizing. If you're the unit does not have adjustable arms per se, so if you are not, you know, perfectly set in that arm unit, is it going to affect the functionality of it, or are there any other sizing any other sizing, I don't want to say issues, but any other anything else with sizing you want to talk about? Rob, you want to start?
Yeah, I guess at the risk of degrading myself, I'm a weirdly shaped guy. I'm a short guy, a long upper body, short legs, all around strange looking. One thing that we haven't seen yet is the arms are actually laced in, so you can move them up and down. You know, it has a little bit of leeway. So I actually wear mine a little looser. I felt like it gives me a little more mobility in my shoulder. Some guys may wear them tighter, so there's a little bit of play there, so you can get maybe a little bit different sizing. There's also a liner inside the arm, which is easy to take out for washing because I've had problems with getting infections from my equipment, and it's actually really a pain to wash my chest and arm unit or my pants or whatever over and over again. So you could probably toy around with that just a tad and move it up, a half an inch or an inch down, and get a little bit of feel for it to feel just a tad bit different on your arm if you're worried about size. I think was that kind of did I address what you were looking for there?
Yeah, I think so. I guess I would assume with other normally designed, I don't want to say normal, the traditionally designed chest guards, if the hinge of your arm doesn't fit exactly perfectly into that unit, it might be a little more forgiving. Does your arm have to fit exactly perfectly in the unit for the hinge aspect to work correctly?
Well, I guess what I was trying to say there in my previous answer is that if you feel that it's not fitting perfect, you can move it up or down a little bit. I have had no problems myself. I can't speak to others, but I've had no problems as far as the fit has gone. I just I loosened up the lace in arms just a tad, and I felt that it fit perfectly and allowed me to make the most of the functionality of the arms.
Hey, Mike.
Yes, sir.
To kind of add something here, the majority of my stock for pros right now has been large. But as I'm showing it, there's guys putting it on that would typically be an XL, and they can still move. They can still touch their opposite shoulder. When I put it on a guy who's smaller than me, who should probably be in a medium, he can still move and put his hand behind his head and do all that stuff as well. So as it might not feel perfect, just from my experience, and I think you alluded to it as well, because you're a medium and the one we sent you was a large, you can still move better than the traditional arm, even if it's not a perfect size.
Okay.
I think all of us here agree. I mean, when it comes to sizing, there's really no difference between this and any more traditional unit. A piece of gear needs to fit to really perform at its best. I mean, I can't think of any piece of equipment where if it doesn't come at least pretty close to fitting well, it's not going to be comfortable.
Yeah.
And this is no different.
I mean, we designed this thing to be as accommodating in terms of fits as any other chest and arm unit is. I mean, for the longest time, the first size that we built was a large unit, and me and Pete and Frank are not the same size and shape in the upper body at all. I'm quite short in the upper body, and Frank's probably a lot longer than me and Pete. Pete's somewhere in between. We were all using that large unit for a long time with great results. I'm in a medium now. That fits me the best, and I love the fit, but I could use a large if I had to. I'd say it's as forgiving in fit as any other unit there is out there.
Okay.
But ideally, you want the right fit.
I'll agree with that. I've in the past I've worn mediums, and just within the legality of the NHL regulations, I'm allowed to wear a large, and I'm always looking for you're always looking for an extra inch here or there as long as it's inside the rules, and I currently wear a large, and I've had no problems with it. So,
I got another question on Twitter asking if the unit is hot because there's so much plastic on it.
I would say that there's more airflow than a typical unit.
Yeah.
It's all meshy-like materials on the back.
When you consider that you've got all of this right here, like that's going down right to your arm, and there's venting in the side of the caps. It's quite a lot of airflow through here, actually.
Yeah. And as Rob mentioned, it's got the liner inside the arm, which creates another sort of little space for air to move around in.
Yeah.
So I would say it's really not much different than most other units.
Through the body, about the same, and in the arms it might be a little cooler.
And if I can just add, I mean, we've now had this. I mean, this is a pretty popular item. We have testers that we set up early in it. We have testers lining up still to give it a shot, and never once has that been a complaint. And to be honest, I've actually had photo sessions with other units where after a long session you can see the heat coming off these guys and they need to take it off and take a break, and hadn't even thought about it for our view, to be honest, but now that you mention it, not an issue at all. Never had that complaint. I think probably has to do with that airflow, that hammock, and the fact there is airflow between the plastic and you. It has not been an issue from any one of, like I said, close to getting up, probably close to 20 people have tried this now. Great.
Before we're done with the chest guard, Eric or the design team, would you guys mind going over the other adjustable features as well? I know you can adjust the shoulder floaters. You can adjust the way it sits on your body, either higher or lower. We didn't touch too much on that. Can we hit a little bit on it before we move on?
I guess I'll hold it up, and Frank, you can talk about what's going on the back.
Well, on the back, there are two straps that hold basically the shoulder. And what this allows, and we've indicated here, it allows you to make it sit a different way on your shoulders, and therefore how it hangs in the belly area. So really, these two straps at the back allow you to adjust it on the shoulder and how it hangs in front of you. Then on the side, you've got a system composed of two straps that have 6 different locations on which you can clip them. And that really allows you to control the way you want it to wrap around your belly and feel against your ribs and on the back. So that's really, really a great feature, because like Neil said before, we've got 2 very different upper bodies. Neil's got a pretty short upper body, and I'm kind of tall. And we use the same size unit. We both use a large for a while, but what would change is that we would change these adjustment on the side and use a completely different setup. Now the shoulder floaters are adjustable at the bottom and on the side and at the top with Velcro, so you can really make them sit the way you want and make them sit really maybe away from your neck if you want to have more mobility with your mask, or closer to your neck if you're worried about collarbone shots and stuff like that, if you're not wearing a bib or something.
So you can go out a little further or up a little higher, down a little lower.
And there's also, if I'm correct, there's also a pouch in the back of the unit where you can adjust, you can add foam, correct?
I'll show you that. So on the back side, on the back side of the floater, here, there's this pocket right there. I don't know how well you can see this on the camera, but there's an HD foam that slots into this, like there. And what that does is that reinforces this break across the front. So if you want this to sit up taller, it will. If you want to have a more natural sort of curved profile, then you can take that out.
That's great. And before we move on to the pants, does anybody have anything else they want to add on the chest guard?
I'd say just because it's different doesn't mean you shouldn't give it a try. I'd say if there's a unit available around you, make sure you go and check it out. You can't promise it's for everyone, but it has a lot of features that haven't been seen yet in the chest and arm, and that's kind of why I switched to it, and I think a lot of people will find it useful as well.
I would agree. It'll be we'll have it in our Total Goalie stores hopefully as soon as they're delivered around the April-ish time frame, and we can't wait to get them in. There have been a ton of people asking about it. We're really excited to get them in.
The one thing I would add too is, in addition to the innovation to me, it's mobility and coverage. I don't know how much it. I was here when Rob mentioned it, but the coverage you get from the width of the arms, and the one thing that I don't think we expected, that we heard almost universally from testers, was no squeakers. Nothing under the arm. Rob mentioned the 6-hole. I mean, I don't know how many times where, personally, I had a floater from the point. You shift yourself over to it, but you're not seeing it. You maybe didn't feel like you got a seal, and you feel it go in there, and you think, oh crap. You go to look behind you, thinking it's in the net, and it's like, oh, hold on, it's not. Lift the arm, and it pops out. And the more we talk to other goalies about it, and the more we kind of heard that consistently, the more we looked at other units, I think it's just simply a function of that arm being so straight and just so rigid. Traditional chest and arms, as you know, sometimes it could be Velcro attachments at the elbow, different things that allow it. It's called an elbow floater for a reason. Well, this one moves, it has the mobility, but it doesn't float. And so it's not going to shift out of the way, and you're not going to get it to us. We didn't find as many pucks creeping through under the arm. We just felt that seal. If you were looking to build a wall, there was nothing getting through it when you were wearing this chest and arm.
Another aspect of this that I'd like to bring up is for anyone that's wearing a unit where they are feeling shots, like the effect that this thing has on your confidence is really key. Like, the unit I was using was very well broken in. It was 12 years old, and I was starting to feel everything. And it was affecting my game. I was standing up to shots that I should have been going down on. Like, these guys could probably attest to it. Since I've been using this thing, like, my game has definitely improved. Like, my confidence is better, and I'm able to track the puck. I'm not thinking about, am I about to get stung? I'm tracking the puck off the stick, which is not something I've always been able to do. And it makes a big difference for me.
It does. It's sometimes subtle, but I know that after about a month and a half of using this, I realized that there was no shot that I was cringing on anymore. I was never even wincing when a guy was winding up. I was just out there, and there's no fear with this thing.
Yeah, you get more of a feeling of just letting the puck come to you, whereas before I always felt like I was fighting the puck a little bit. And now I'm much more sort of relaxed and allowing the puck just to come to me, not flailing quite as much and jabbing.
One more thing I wanted to add, because it wasn't something that we went in thinking about it, and I would agree. If you feel pucks and you flinch, you'll never feel it. I don't think you'll ever feel another puck wearing this, so that's certainly a factor. But the one part that we were surprised by that we didn't go in thinking about was the amount of mobility in your neck because of the way it's designed around the chest. This is not overly bulky through the shoulders. It is not oversized through the shoulders, both width and the way it fits against your chest. And what that allows for, especially if you have a mask that on a profile, kind of sits deep in here, is there's no gathering. There's no, and you guys have talked about the adjustability. More adjustability than any unit I've ever seen in terms of how you want the shoulders to sit and how you want it to position. But we talk about tracking the puck, Pete. I think that the ability to move the head without running into restriction between the chin and the chest and arm is an important part of puck tracking and the way you move around and follow the puck around the ice. And I just found over time, the more we use this unit, the more again, you don't go looking for it, but you start to realize over time, wow, there's a complete range of motion there before I run into any problems with interference between the mask and the chest. And I think that's just the way, the way you put together those chest plates and the adjustability through the shoulders.
Yeah, and it has a huge effect when the puck is behind the net. Like, it really helps to not get caught up, and you're just able to track what's going on behind the net much easier, I feel.
Okay, that was an excellent discussion on that. I'm glad we spent so much time on it, because to me, that's the unit that gets the most buzz. But I do want to move on to the pants, because I think the pants are fantastic, and I really like the way you guys integrated the design of the pants into the rest of the line you've come out with. So the pants work great with the chest guard. They work great with the cup. So Eric, if you want to kind of take the lead on that, I see you've got a pair behind. Do you have a pair behind you, or who?
I don't have a pro pant with me.
Okay.
The guys do, but Mike, if we can, maybe before we get into the pant, I think if we stick with the pro line, I think like the pro pant, the pro jock, and then the chest, because it's all got features that kind of build off each other and work together. So it might be a great thing to talk about, maybe real fast, even the jock, and then see it with the pant. So it's not like this.
Yeah, let's do it. You guys, design guys, you have both with you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go through the jock then.
Sorry for switching it up on you, Mike.
No, you're doing it. This is great.
So the jock that Frank's holding there, we've built that outer shell in not the same materials, but a similar construction ideology. So there's material sewn onto the back of that molded foam, that allows for a hammock to be formed. So when the impact hits the outer shell, again, there's space between that and your cup, and it allows the outer foam to really absorb the puck. The other key thing, and to be honest, this is one of my most popular items right now with NHL guys and minor league guys, because of the mobility, the comfort and mobility that this gets. You see those, there's two kind of belly flaps, if you will, that you see right above that outer shell. That, I think, is one of the most underrated features in this product, because what it allows is, it allows, when you bend forward to get into your stance, which a goalie is in their stance the majority of the time, it moves with your belly. So now you don't feel that bulkiness. Your belly's not moving around your jock. And it allows you to wear the jock nice and snug and move. Like, you don't think about your jock anymore. And the reason I wanted to talk about this now is because these guys did a brilliant job in designing it with the pant. So the pant has similar belly pads as the two you see on the jock. So now all three kind of flip forward when you bend in your stance. And it's an awesome, awesome combination. So I'll let these guys talk about that, and then they can go into the pant.
Okay. Hey, Frank, before you integrate the two, Eric was the main image on the screen when he was talking. So let's go back to you, and can you again show us the belly flap, and also just kind of the hammock design on the cup itself, so we can get you on the main screen here?
Sure. All right, so as you can see, the front cup is a molded HD foam, and behind it is a mesh fabric that's sewn into the cup and all around the perimeter. And this really creates the type of hammock or trampoline that we have in all our other concepts this year. And so it creates that, what we call the shock shield, where the force is applied to a small location by the puck, and then it's spread all across the cup, and then this springs here, so it really reduces the impact that you feel on your body, and it spreads it over a bigger area. So it's I wouldn't say a nice feeling, but it's a better feeling than what you're used to, let's say. And at the top, as Eric mentioned, we've got a dual belly flap, and you can see that it's quite a steep angle from this here to here, and it's really designed to marry the form of your the shape of your abdomen when you're in a goalie stance. So, you know, we were looking at goalies, and you know, current jocks are designed as if a goalie was standing up. But really, what counts is when a goalie's in his crouch or in a butterfly position, or or in a scramble. And most of the time, this thing needs to be able to bend forward, or at least fit what your body is doing. And when we were designing the pants, it was just, to us, so obvious that it needed to be the same design. It needed to be the same concept and feel the same way. That it just happened that way.
So can we, Eric touched on fit, and you touched on fit as well, that you can wear it tighter. I know the straps on that unit are pretty unique, so you can snug it up pretty well. Can you go over those a little bit too?
Sure. So the main strap, or the waistband, is a nice 3-inch thick piece of elastic. So when it's on your lower back, it feels nice because it has a lot of surface. It doesn't create a rubbing point or whatever. And then here it tapers down to a smaller area, and you can Velcro it from both sides. So it really allows tons of adjustment because you can adjust it from the right and from the left at the same time. And then same idea for the thigh elastics. The elastics that go around your thigh can Velcro in from one side and to the other. So it allows really a broad range of adjustments, and just for one single strap, for two strap actually.
Great. Okay, well let's. I know you've got the pants right there, so let's. Why don't we go into those?
So the part that Frank's talking about that interfaces really nicely with the jock is the it's the belly flap on the internal belt system of the pant. So this pant has an internal belt system. You see it from the top. That's maybe the best view. You can see these yellow arms coming around here are the sides of the internal belt system. They create a nice padded sort of landing surface so that the belt, which is on the outside of these pads, is never, you don't have a webbing strap that's, you know, rubbing up against your side. You've got this nice cushion all the way around, and then the webbing strap feeds through the front, out to the front side of this belly flap right here, which, if you can see from the top, I don't know if you can tell, but has a nice curved shape that sits perfectly right on the belly flap of the jock. So this pant just rests and fits perfectly right up against the jock. Then you pull the, in order to tighten the internal belt, just find the straps here. You've got these two gray straps here and here that you simply pull from the front this way, and that cinches up the inside of the belt really easily. You don't have to fiddle around with buckles on the inside and you know, trying to find your adjustment points. It's just a quick pull, and you're all cinched up. Then you've got an external belt which comes around the kidneys all the way around the outside of the belt, like a traditional, or the outside of the pant, like a traditional belt, and that allows you, if you want to narrow the top, to pull in the outside of the pant and keep it from being bulky, depending on whether you like to wear your pant wide or you like to wear it tight if you wear your chest and arm over top. Then what you've got in terms of, we got two other features. The first feature, again, I don't know how well you can see it on this camera, but we have these what we call flex plates. It's an armored plate on the top of the thigh and on the outside of the hip that are designed to overlap each other and allow the pant to collapse extremely easily so that you could do a split very easily in this pant. You got tremendous amount of mobility in this pant, but you have all this armored plating here, so you're not sacrificing protection at the top of the thigh, where sometimes you can get stung on a shot in here because you've got soft spots. That's not going to happen anymore. The other cool feature that we have on this pant is what we call the axi-cut system. At the bottom of the pant, I don't know if you can see this cut. You've got the level bottom of the pant here, and then it cuts away up in this corner. And what this does is this eliminates interference with your pad in the butterfly. Frequently, a pant will rest on the top of the pad when you're in your butterfly, and it will push the outside of the pant up. And when you get that happening on both sides, what happens is your thighs open up and you get a gap right in the middle. So what this does is this allows your pant to recess down a little bit behind the thigh board of your pad when you're in the butterfly, keeping the seal in the front and preventing any binding and pushing that you get on the side of the pant. I'd say those are kind of the standout features of this pant that make it really unique on the market and have some really excellent goalie-specific features.
Yeah, I will say that the guys here in the office who tested the pant thought they were incredibly light. The breathability was fantastic because I know there's more of a mesh in the back of the leg than your traditional nylon, and the seal between the two legs was fantastic. We had guys who were raving about that.
That's a great point. Thanks for bringing those up. Yeah, the entire back of the pant from here down is mesh, so you get tremendous breathability, as you said. And then it's another unique feature I forgot to talk about, but the way the thigh board is constructed, it's not a one-piece plate on the front and then hinge plates on the sides. what it is it's a one piece that makes an L and then dives in onto the inside of your leg. So the inner seal of this pad or this pant is tremendously sturdy. You don't get like sort of you don't get the pant collapsing under shots. What you get is when you squeeze your thighs together, you get a very solid seal across the front. If a puck hits here, it's difficult for the leg to twist in. It can't really do it because it's got all this solid structure on the underside. And yet it's cut away nicely at the bottoms so that it doesn't interfere with your leg pads, and it's not cumbersome at all.
Yeah. Rob, you told me last time we talked that you had ordered a set. Has your set come in yet?
No, still anxiously awaiting that. Though I did actually, I purchased one of the cups. I put a cup on order, and I got that in about a week and a half ago. And I'll say, if there's one thing that you don't want to worry about, it's your cup. So I've been pleasantly surprised with that. I never really assumed that there's a difference between jocks, to be honest with you, but I will say I've had no worries, and the fit's very nice. You can wear it really tight to your body without restricting mobility. So I've been pleasantly surprised. I'd have to update you on the pants, so I'm still waiting on those.
Okay. Woody, you guys have had you've had the pants for a while. You've had people test them. What have you heard?
Well, I was going to say, don't be mad at us, Rob, but we have had them for a while, and the reviews are all positive. Honestly, we had the old Warrior pant, and what we loved about it was the mobility, but there were times where that mobility came at the cost of coverage, and as Frank and Neil and Pete talked about, there was a flap above the thigh that sometimes folded up, and you could end up black and blue there. They've solved both those problems with this pant without sacrificing any of the mobility. Every tester that we've had in it so far, and we're probably at about half a dozen right now, not as much as the chest and arm because we haven't had it as long, raves about the mobility of this pant and the fact that it does not come at the cost of coverage. You talked about that L shape in front. I mean, the term that guys are using when they bring it back, they just feel like, and I guess the lighting in here is not great, but you've already talked about it. That L shape, I mean, it builds a wall. Like, it just builds a perfect wall. It's closed. It's sealed. The cutout, the axis cutout on the side prevents interference with the pads. The one thing I think people should be cognizant of when ordering, from my understanding, is, at least in the different size ranges up until extra large, if I'm not mistaken, the waist is the same because it's adjustable. It doesn't matter whether you're big or small. You can adjust that waist. What changes is the length of the pant, and that's where as much as that axis system allows that pad to rotate, if you get too long in that pant, there's it could get, that's where you could have a little bit of pad interference, but because of the cutout, you're not going to have as much. The other thing that we saw that it hasn't been talked about, I mean, integration, right? It's all about fit and integration. It's not just how your pants perform, and like I said, mobility is sensational. The coverage is great. The combination of the two is among the best we've seen, but it's got to integrate with your chest and arm as well. It does with both the Warrior chest and arm, or if you're wearing another brand, and it does it by the way it's open and the adjustability that you guys talked about already in terms of whether you want to cinch in the weight and have the chest and arm sit out, or there's a nice little pocket in there where you can tuck that chest and arm in. And the other thing that we really like that you guys haven't talked about is you can adjust the height of that seat or inner belt. There are actually two inner loops, and you can move it from higher or lower. So get your size figured out, and then if you like to have your pants sit up higher, you just change where that inner belt sits on the inside of the pant. You want it to sit lower, change where that inner belt sits on the inside of the pant. There's a wider range of adjustability than I've ever seen, and I think what that allows goalies to do is not only do they get the mobility and the coverage that I've raved about already, but the ability to set it up how they want it so that it integrates properly with the chest. I mean, if you buy it, you can have a leg pad that fits great, but it's a little too high. It rides up a little too high, and you like to tuck, and that push that, we've all had it where all of a sudden that chest and arm, whatever unit it is, gets pushed up under the armpit and get a little bit of rubbing and rash in there. With these pants, you can just lower that belt a little bit and set it up exactly how you want. So nothing but positive feedback so far. Again, like the chest and arm, an incredible amount of mobility, combination of coverage and adjustability that we just haven't seen before.
One of the cool things I like, and it's more of a smaller feature, but I'm more of old school, I guess. I still wear suspenders. I tuck in and I wear suspenders over my gear. And the way that you guys have designed the pants, you have designed them so you can actually remove the suspenders from the front of the pants if you don't want to use them. I know guys who don't tuck, who leave it out, often find that those buttons will rub on the back of their chest guard, and it'll create over time it'll start to fray and stuff like that. Design guys, if you have the pants there, do you have that the little button strap in the front that you could show off a little bit?
It's not in there.
You know what? I have one right here, guys.
Oh, perfect.
You know what? And it's fun. No, it's funny you mentioned that, Mike, because our CIS goalie, the guy who played in the WHL and he's now playing Canadian University hockey, I brought it to him without this adjustment, and he said the same thing. Hey, listen, I like to tuck, and I like to have my suspenders. He used it for a few days before I could get back to him, just because it was a bit of a trip. And it's funny because he said, you know what? With the inner belt system, I don't need my suspenders. I can wear this pant without them, but it's been so long since I didn't wear suspenders, I like to have that option. And so I brought them to him, and hopefully the lighting in here is good enough, but it's basically just a little loop. And like I said, I apologize. The lighting here at Rogers Arena, it's not the greatest lighting. So it's basically just a little 2 buckles, and it's just basically a piece of fabric that slides into a little loop, easily taken in and out. He said it worked very well for him. And like I said, if you don't like it, take it out, and there's no rubbing and no extra problems without it. So hopefully you can see that there.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. Before we move on from pants, Eric or anybody, do we have any comments on pants before we move to the knee guards?
No. Well, I think I think one other thing that we haven't touched on. Well, we touched on it a little bit, but something just kind of reiterate is the material selection that the Neil, Pete, and Frank chose for the back of the pant. Really allows one for it to breathe and dry out because there's lots of airflow. But two, I think one of the things you think of when you think of mobility is weight a little bit. And I think with the material selection they did choose, with regards to foams and just the outside shell materials, creates a lighter pant than what we've done in the past. And I think the guys will really like that in both feel and mobility. I think it all lends together and just kind of sums up the package where there's thought in everything. Nothing's just placed there for the hell of it, and these guys continue to do a great job with that.
I will say when we got the pants in here, I was blown away by the pants. I know the chest guard gets a lot of publicity, and rightly so, but the pants are phenomenal, and I really can't wait until they get out in the public and people can see them and try them for themselves, because I really think they're gonna do great. I mean, I'm really excited about those pants. So kudos to all you guys for the design work you put in on them. I think they're gonna do really well. Okay, finally, let's move on to the knee guards. It's a knee guard is not just a knee guard. You guys have actually made some pretty good design changes to it this year to kind of give you more protection, keep it from slipping. You've also added there's an intermediate size too, so you can fit a lot of different leg sizes. So you want to touch on that a little bit? Either Eric or the design guys.
Yeah, we got them right here. So basically what we got here is we got a product that isn't maybe quite such a radical departure from what's on the market on first impression, but we did make a few modifications that we feel really make this knee pad a superior product to what's out there. So what we have first is it's basically a three-piece system where you've got a thigh wrap, and it comes with a double-sided adjustment strap, so that you can really dial in the length of the strap without losing the strap, without having the strap come away. You can Velcro both sides, but it still stays attached. And we know that's actually one of the tougher areas, is getting strap length right for guys' thighs, because some guys are really skinny and some guys have massive thighs. The middle section we have, this is the part that does all the heavy lifting in terms of protection. It's a rounded plastic cap. It's a couple of nice features that are maybe a little more subtle are that it tapers in at the sides here. And the reason for that is we want you to have a nice amount of coverage on the front, and we want to make sure that you definitely have all the protection you need. But when this is inside your leg pad and you're up, this is the part that's actually up against the inside of your knee landing when everything is fitting right. So this needs to be able to slide away from your knee landing when you're up in the butterfly and then back down underneath without causing too much interference. So that taper fit here helps a lot with that. And then the third component we have is the landing cradle, basically. And this is where your knee goes. When you strap up this knee pad, your knee should be kneecap should be in the middle of the bullseye, which we've printed on the inside of this knee cradle. And maybe I'll just put it on. Hopefully we'll be able to have enough definition to see what's actually happening here.
Don't rip your jeans.
That's right. Frank just warned me not to rip my jeans because he's a legend for ripping his jeans in demos. He's done it more than once. Okay, so I'll hold this up to the camera. Basically, maybe what I'll do is I'll slide this forward a little bit and angle the camera down. What you'll see is when the knee pad is correctly in place, this cap in the middle, which does all the heavy lifting for protection, that's what's going to protect your thigh and the top of your knee when you get blasted in the butterfly, right? When you're standing up, this actually slides down over top of the landing cradle for your knee. The landing cradle for your knee gets strapped onto to your knee really tightly. And I forgot to mention this. We've got this silicone grip on the inside of the strap so that you can get this strap done up nice and tight. This is the one that prevents everything from sliding down your leg. A lot of guys have trouble with knee pads that over the course of the game, the knee pad will gradually start to drift down their leg, and they're fiddling with it and adjusting it, and it's a pain throughout the game. With this knee cradle, you do this one up really nice and tight, and everything above it is allowed to just kind of drop into place. It's not, these straps aren't holding the part into place. So you're standing up straight, all of this is drifted down. You're not getting any binding. It's not pushing from the side. It's not like all bunching up together and like digging into your thighs. It just drops nicely into place. And then when you bend your knee, I don't know if you can see it, the knee pad is able to slide away from the calf and get out from underneath. And then you straighten back up and it pops back underneath. So I'll try and get down onto the floor here. When you're down in the butterfly, you see that? When you're down on the ground, this cap sealed perfectly against the bottom. There's no way a puck is going to sneak under there and ding you in the top of the knee. This cap is doing everything you need it to do. Then you stand up, camera up, and this is drifted nicely over top. You get that excellent range of motion without having any difficulty. No binding. No pad forcing its way down your leg throughout the game. You just get no plastic to slam your knee into. That's a good point. Some of our competitors have a hard plastic dome right here. It's great for protection. When you drop down on the edge of that thing, man, your knees will bleed. So this is that's what the idea with this is.
And I noticed there's still a loop behind the actual unit. So, I know I typically take some skate lacing and run it up through my pants just to ensure that nothing slides down. You guys have also included a little, there's a little loop on the inside of the knee guard which will accommodate that, correct?
Yeah, it will accommodate that.
We don't particularly recommend it. They work much better when they're not connected to the pants because they don't slide at all, and that's the only reason that you would connect them to the pants is to prevent sliding.
Yeah, as Pete's saying, basically the way this pad is designed, it's this component down here that's designed to keep it from drifting down your leg. The pad can go down this far, it doesn't go down any further than that. So we actually want this kind of motion to be able to happen.
Okay.
But, there are guys who are traditionalists and they want to be able to have that option, so it's there if they want it.
No, that's a good point. I know that's kind of become the standard, right? I mean, because knee guards do slip, so everybody's including loops on there.
Well, other knee guards.
Yeah, other knee guards slip.
Were you
Right.
just listening to anything Neil just said?
I guess not. Woody or Rob, have you guys had experience with the knee guards?
I actually have not used those, so I can't comment on those either.
Okay.
You know, I'm in the same boat right now. We'll be doing that, I'm sure, soon in a coming issue. The one, you know, without the knee guards specifically, the one thing I would say about the pants too is no matter, there's so much room inside them. Like, it maintains that squareness, and yet I can see how that knee guard would move without interfering at all. You know, I personally have ones that aren't by any particular brand. They happen to be an overseas one that are popular with the NHL players and borderline illegal, but they're massive. And these are the first pair of pants where I haven't had to make custom alterations to reduce the interference. These pants will work with any as big as you want your knee guards to be. These pants will work with them. And looking at those knee guards, they look like they'd integrate real well. And I guess that's what I would say top to bottom. These guys are building a product right now that it's not just piece by piece, it's going to integrate. And as Rob knows as a goaltender, as we all know as goaltenders and guys who plays the game, it's not just one piece, it's how it fits with the other pieces. And there's a lot of options here to make sure that everything fits well together.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. That's probably the thing I'm most excited about regarding the line is you guys didn't seem to design it as as each separate piece. You designed them all as a unit that works well together, and I haven't really seen anybody else do that for quite a while. So kudos to you guys. Any closing thoughts here? We've come to the end of the line, but you guys have any closing thoughts before we adjourn here?
This is not really a closing thought, but I know it was one of the questions that were in the brief, and you were mentioning. It was mentioned earlier. The pant. The waist size for small, medium, large, and extra large really is from 30 to 38 because of that internal belt. And the difference from one to another is really the length of the pant. So to your question, yes, the knee to hip ratio or the total body height really is the criteria here, and not the size of your waist, because this internal belt system will accommodate a broad range of waist size.
Okay, good point. Okay, fellas.
I would say if I had a closing thought, guys, it would be that for goaltenders out there, don't be afraid of something that's different in the chest and arm. I think because it was so unique, we had more questions about it. There were, you know, everything else is just kind of here's what it does. There were really distinct questions because of the plastic, because it's so unique, and every one of them was answered through our testing. And as impressed as we were with the chest and arm, do not overlook this pant. I think the goalies are going to really like this pant. It was, you know, we had a lot of goaltenders that wanted to try the chest and arm. When they came to pick things up and saw the pants, they absolutely had to try the pants right away, and the feedback on those were, again, it got overlooked, it seemed, but, you know, from the chest and arm getting so much attention, but please don't overlook the pants. They are, I believe, going to be a really popular item this year, and I think there's a lot of innovations there that goaltenders are going to love.
Yeah, and if I can add one thing, Mike, you know, I think, you know, I've said it before in other videos, and just when talking with you know, total hockey consumers, whoever it may be, is that when the guys are designing gear, we have one line, we have the Ritual line. So we're not designing towards a specific style. We're designing for every goalie. So that's why you see the pads, the chest and arm, the pant. There's so much flexibility in the setup of it and how you can wear it, in the feel of it, that we're trying to break down the stereotype of there's two classes of goalies. So when someone's looking at the Ritual gear, you know, I guess we just ask that you kind of put that aside, try it, because you can set it up to your liking.
Good point.
If I can make a closing statement, you know, 2012 just ended, and that was our first year with the new Ritual stuff. And needless to say, it was a crucial year for us to have some success. And the four of us from Warrior, we really would like to thank all the customers that did support us. And, we look forward to seeing and working with a lot of new customers in the future. Like, we really appreciate it.
I would say you guys made some pretty good strides last year, coming out with a brand new, innovative pad that not many people had seen of or thought of before. You can tell you're making good strides because you're seeing more guys, both in the NHL and professional leagues and college. More people are starting to gravitate towards your gear now. I think that's a trend that's only going to continue. We're super excited to be partners with you guys. We're really excited that you're always willing to come on board and do these out-of-the-box hangout type things with us. Thanks so much for sharing your knowledge and for getting really in-depth with the new line for 2013. And it'll all be in stores come April at Total Goalie. And thanks again, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Nice, thanks.
Thanks for having me.